And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. This is your player ratings show. Argentina versus the Springboks at a very, very interesting game. And basically, what's going to happen in this show is we are going to be doing all the ratings, and that is going to be rating every single player between 1 and 10, naming a man of the match, and seeing what the kind of average ratings are for the likes of that, and all of that. So please get involved in that. Please make sure you go and rate the players, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Argentina 27, Box 29. Not as easy as we'd hoped. Definitely not as straightforward as we thought it was going to be. And I think credit to Argentina who stayed in the game and who made life interesting. But I think at the same time, the Boks weren't great in the second half. And I think that there's a little bit of a worry about that. But I also think there's a little bit of fatigue, to be honest. I think there was a little bit of, we've been playing at such a high level. There's been so much that's been going well that I think there was always going to be a bit of a drop off. I don't think this was going to be another 30, 40 point game. I've been saying that we've never really been able to. I don't think a lot of teams go out and can put 30, 40 points on tier 1 teams week in, week out. So there was always that risk that this was going to be a close game. We did donate to try to them. Chase and Colby once again handing out Christmas presents. Because at 29 points to 13, things were comfortable and we were looking good, and it was pretty one-sided. We then gave them a try out of nowhere. That gave them the confidence, and then just after the hooter had gone, a phenomenal cross kick from Santiago Carreras meant that they scored right at the end. But let's get into the game, shall we? So it didn't start particularly well. We got a yellow card in the first minute for Kane Moody, and Argentina made a count with Baptista Duggy going over in the third minute. Santiago Carreras adding the extras. So, and that was from the yellow card. It was a pure overlap, so frustrating to be in that situation because we started a bit better. We that was the penalty that was conceded, for example. We start better, and all of a sudden I think we can really start to build an early game. And instead we had to come back from behind, and it took us 9 minutes to get some points on the board. But then they responded, and Carreras went over with with 2 penalty goals to extend their lead. And our first try of the match came in the 37th minute through Cobus Ranach, who I'm busy watching give his man of the match interview because that's what he was named. A very good game from Cobus Ranach. But going into halftime, 13 points to 10, we had the momentum. The first 10 odd minutes, it was very one-sided. We were under the cosh, to be honest. But then we kind of clicked into gear, and I think important to weather the storm and to get the victory at the end. In the second half, Vivas got the yellow card, and then we kind of clicked into gear. Marks try in the 43rd minute, Reinach in the 51st minute, Marks in the 57th minute. 14 odd minutes, 3 tries, that's game done. Going from 13-10 down to 29-13 points up within the first 20 minutes of the second half, that was the game being done. That was us coming back. Yes, they had that Dalgi try in the 65th minute, courtesy of Cheslin Colby. The result was maybe up for grabs, or maybe not confirmed. I think apart from that, we were relatively comfortable for majority of that second half. But if we go to some of the sort of the stats and sort of see exactly where the game was kind of won and lost, it was a pretty typical traditional Bok performance, maybe a bit more than what we've seen recently. Set piece dominance, rolling mauls. We scored some nice tries, but we go look at the line breaks, 5 to 7. We were down on line breaks, we were down on carries, and territory-wise, 52%. But even if you go look at our set plays, for example, the scrums one lost towards the end where we conceded a penalty, but apart from that, our scrums were pretty flawless. Lineouts were very good throughout the game. Lost a couple towards the end, but general were very. In fact, ironically, the one of the lineouts we lost is actually when we scored off because Malcolm Marks missed the jumper. It was knocked down. He jumped onto the ball 2 or 3 phases. He actually ended up going over. Our restarts, though, were fine. But you can just see over here, post-contact meters, even the meters run, for example, not as much as we've seen in previous games. We've been playing close to our best rugby. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a step backwards. It just wasn't maybe what we've been seeing. And I don't mind a little bit of a drop-off, when we've been playing at such a high level, because I think it's difficult to keep it at that level for so many games. And it's a case of making sure that these kind of games come with lessons, and that we learn those lessons, and that we go and make sure that we don't kind of get into a situation where we might potentially lose a game like that, which we didn't deserve to lose. Defensively, I think we weren't good enough in the first half. Second half, I was quite impressed, to be honest. I mean, you look at the Dalgi try, it wasn't a defensive error, for example. It was a donation, and then a cross kicked right towards the end. So we didn't really concede anything in the second half. I thought it was a much better defensive effort. What was ever said at half time definitely made a big difference. And shout out to Derry Flannery, who I think has definitely improved the defense recently. I think we're still a little bit porous at times, but I do think a lot of that's the trade-off with our attacking game and kind of the way we play that. So it wasn't a 10 out of 10 performance. But again, I'm not going to be upset about it because we played pretty well at times and we grounded out a victory. On neutral ground, for example, I think the wind was blowing quite a lot, which is what we heard from the ground. But we were allowed to have an average performance, to be honest. You know, at the end of the day, we didn't play at our best, and we won the game. And we won the rugby championship. And I also think that this Argentina side pitched up much better this week than last week. Last week, for example, they were competitive for 40 minutes. Conteponi very much got that selection right. He left Jacques Oviedo and Jean-Martin Gonzalez on the bench, and they had big impacts. Oviedo was everywhere when he came on. So they kind of did manage to almost sort of nullify a lot of it to a certain degree, because we usually kind of running away within the last 20 minutes, whereas we actually lost the last 20 minutes in this game. And I do think that a Jacques Oviedo, a Jean-Martin Gonzalez coming off the bench made a big difference with that, which is really cool to see. In terms of some big performances, Kobus Reinach was named man of the match, the official man of the match. I thought Malcolm Marx had a phenomenal game today. He hit his men in the lineouts, was physical on defense, 2 tries, 2 turnovers, much more like the Malcolm Marx of old. And that's a really good thing, and really good to see that he is getting back to his best. In terms of the carries, Santiago Carreras, Marcus Kremer actually had the most, joined with Jasper Wiese. Marcus Kremer, most tackles in the game was 17. Our highest tackler was Jasper Wiese with 13. Another good, strong game from Jasper Wiese. He's so important to what we do and the way we play. But I mean, it's difficult to find players who didn't have good games. I mean, some players had average games maybe, but I thought Kane Moody was probably one of his poorer games. Ethan Hooker maybe didn't get involved as much. I don't think Chazin played particularly well. From a pack point of view, Roy O'Keefe, probably one of his more quiet games. You know, got to a decent amount of work, but wasn't as front and center as he has been, for example. I thought that Peter Toy was very busy. I thought our entire back 3 played pretty well. The scrums went well. So it's a weird situation where I don't think we were awful. I don't think Jimmy players played badly, but we weren't anywhere close to our best. And we know what our best is, to be honest. And that's the good thing. That's the thing for me. That's the takeaway. It's focus on what our best is, not what we saw today. Because we can get back to that best. We've seen it. We've proven it. I do think that our selection at the end of year tour is going to be very interesting. And I think that this performance, I don't think there were too many people who maybe inked their name on at the end of year tour. I think Damien Day-Lindy probably. I think he still showed today that he can contribute so much. Not that Esther Hazen hasn't been showing that, but he was very good today. Kobus Reinach, I think, silenced a few doubters as well. Nice, solid response for him. One of the players that people were kind of questioning the decision to start him. But at the end of the day, job done. That's the point. And that's all I care about. Honestly, that's all I care about. I'm not going to get bogged down and say, oh, it was a cuck performance and the Boks were terrible. And, you know, why? We weren't phenomenal. We were comfortable at a stage and we had a really good period. We just didn't kick on where previously we had. And that's the difference. That is the difference. So, yeah, the main thing I want to get you guys to start doing is to get your score predictions. I mean, not score predictions, Steve. We've had the game. We've had the predictions. You got to do the ratings now. We're doing ratings. Ratings in. It is the pinned comment. Go and lock your ratings in, people. And go and lock your man of the matches in. Go and get your... I'm going to give you guys the man... I always give you guys the man of the match vote in the comments. So, let me know who your man of the match is. What are the nominations for man of the match here, people? What are the nominations? Give me them in the comments And let's get to the voting, so I can get that poll up. Who was your man of the match? People give me so I'm going to put Malcolm Marx in. Who was your man of the match? Let me just quickly move this a little bit. Who was your man of the match? Question mark. I'm going to put in Malcolm Marx. We probably had to put in Kobus Reinach, seeing as he won the official man of the match. But what are the other chats, people? What are the other chats? What are everybody else saying in the chat here, people? Christian says, "Yira, that was a close oak. Boccarelli didn't impress. Well done, Argentina. Holy smokes, what's been going on with Colby?" Says 9H DF2. CS is not great, but we'll take it. Gustav says, "Thank you, man. You're a lifesaver. Happy to help." Kiwi Rob, the tears. The tears. Fun fact, by the way, we've actually been bottling. We've been bottling the Kiwi tears throughout this rugby championship. And as a result, I've got 2 full bottles of water that I can enjoy on the player ratings. Because right now, the Boks are getting ready to lift up the trophy. So, for all the Kiwi tears, if I had washed this out, I'm not even going to step out of that. But, you know what this is? This is a trophy. This is something you haven't seen. I suppose you got the best cup, but the Rugby Championship trophy, you haven't seen this in the last 2 years because we've gone back-to-back, boys. That was the World Cup trophy. You haven't seen that in many, many years. So take your tears, bottle them up, sell them maybe. We're moving out here. We're moving. And Lux. What are the other nominations for man of the match? Damon Delendi, I like that one. I think Peter Steph Toy, I like that one as well. Let's put those ones in. I think those are good options. I like those options. I can work with those options. People, let me know if you have done your player ratings. Pan, one of our members saying, insane scrum performance, backline caught napping, forwards won the game. Devin Farmer says, it's not an average game. What you talking? Basic mistakes and stupid mistakes. That's not average. Ugh. No offense, I hate fans like this. It's so negative. You're looking for a reason to be upset. You are looking for reasons to be upset. Argentina responded last week, and it worked. Conteponi put a fullback at wing, and suddenly the aerial battle was far more competitive. Argentina put 2 of their best players on the bench. They nullified that second half performance. At some times, you've also got to be able to say, somebody said Argentina defended really well. You've also got to put your hands up and say, well, they also played well. But you know what I'm watching? I am watching the Rugby Championship trophy being held by Sia Khaleesi. And that's what I'm focusing on. If we want to go and look for reasons to be upset and look for errors, you can do that. I'm not going to do that. That for me is cuck. I think that's cuck. I think that's boring. I want to get into my player ratings with Ox and Chair over here. So go and vote for your man of the match and let me know who has done their ratings, people. I'm not going to start this until you guys have done the ratings, until I've got confirmation that you guys have done your ratings. And there is an issue with our stats because Ox and Chair did not play 80 minutes. But we will endeavor to keep going through that. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, as I said, I'm not going to choose to be. I choose to focus on the positives here. I am not going to get too upset about it. We won the championship. That's all I care about. And that's what I said 2 weeks ago. I said I couldn't care about performances. I couldn't care about team selection. I said for 2 weeks. We just need to win 2 games. That was what I challenged them to do. And we did it. And that's all I really care about, in all honesty. That's it. So, again, you can choose to be upset about that performance. I don't think it's going to get you anywhere. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's 5 o'clock. You should be lighting the bras. You should be getting involved in that. And if you're not going to do it, well, fine. But I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose to celebrate the fact that we've just gone back-to-back rugby championship wins. That is my main takeaway of today, and that's what I'm focusing on. Because if anything else, I think is just pretty pointless to worry about. So we move. No, now my player ratings have disappeared. There we go. So Ox and Chair. So yeah, so you guys in the comments over here. Let me go through the comments. Who's been saying? Is anybody telling me about their ratings? I need somebody to tell me they've done the ratings. Have you guys done the ratings? Cornelius has done his ratings. Oh, there we go. Now that we know that Cornelius has done his ratings, then we can move. Christian says Coley must be much. Yeah, listen, he's just not having a good time at the moment, is Cheslin. Getting a bit worried about him. Like, it's not like he's playing badly, but can we just stop it, basically? Can we just not throw 50-50s and donate tries to Argentina? Can we just be a bit more consistent with that and not muck around? Because we were actually looking, and if we had won 29 points to 13, we would have been sitting there saying happy days. Happy days. But because he decided to donate some points to Argentina, all of a sudden we're really upset, and it was a much closer game than it needed to be. So he needs to go and start working on his decision-making. He still had a pretty good impact on the game. I mean, he when he had the ball in hand, which he didn't have a lot of, which I think maybe is also part of the problem. But we'll go through the ratings and see what you guys reckon, shall we? I'm just going to quickly sort this out. We got yeah, everything seems to be working right. So here we go. Ratings done. Anya's done the ratings. Christian says, yeah, Laka Stevie, we won back-to-back TRC, but we're not going to beat France and Ireland playing like that. Bring back Faf and Polly. But we are going to beat France and Ireland playing like we did against New Zealand, for example, which those who neither of them played. So, yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult because you can't, and again, we can't look at those two games where we basically said we're the best team in the world, then have a slightly off game, and then be like, okay, cool, we're back to misery. So, and I think that's it. For me, we wait and see what happens at the end of your tour. If we go and lose both those games, then we can start in the conversations. But sometimes you got to win ugly. Sometimes you're going to have a bad performance. But for me, what's always good to focus on is the fact that things didn't go necessarily our way. We maybe didn't play at our best, but we won. And that's what I'm going to focus on. Inconsistency in performances. We went back-to-back 30-odd point wins. We've lost 2 matches this year. So we want to talk about the fact that we're playing 15 tests. We've won 7 out of 9. And the worst we played was against Australia. We probably could have won that first test against the All Blacks. So, again, we've won 7 out of 9 tests. That is my big takeaway. And I think that's what we've got to focus on. And hopefully, end of year tour, as I said, I would be very happy with 4 out of 5. So if we finish the season with 12 out of 15 wins, I'd be pretty happy with that, to be honest. I'll take that. I don't know if you guys take that. I would take that. I would be very, very happy if we were to get 12 out of 15 wins. I think that would mark a pretty good season. If you go and beat an Ireland or France, you beat both then what a sensational season. But I'd be pretty happy with 12 out of 15. I think the frustration is probably that Australia game, because that's a bit of a red flag in it all. But but let's get something about... let's get into these ratings, shall we? So, Oxen Chair, I thought it was good. I thought he came back and he decimated the scrums. Let's go. So, he's 6 out of 6 tackles. Very good in the scrums. I'm going to give Oxen 8. I don't think we can actually comment and say anything. 7.5. That's what you guys have gone with. And if you're still asking or still wondering how to do the player ratings, then go and click on the link in the description and go and do that. Jason says, we won 7 out of 9 tests with a new play style and young players, not bad. John Doe says, we had absolute 4 dominance today, but our backline didn't click. And Christian said, I'm sure the game plan didn't change. Super Chihuahua, who's one of our members, Says, I've got a Chihuahua as a member. Imagine. Says, there is something to be said about winning even when you don't have the best game. That is also part of resilience. I agree. Oxford gets 7.5. Oh, Malcolm. Look at those stats. So we have diagnosed the fact that the minutes played is wrong, but all the stats are correct. We double checked that. 10 points, 2 tries, 9 carries, 28 meters run, a pass, 10, 11 tackles, not to mention 2 turnovers. I'm giving Malcolm Marks a 9. 8.6, close enough. I thought he was phenomenal today. Absolutely phenomenal. It was the Malcolm Marks of old that I saw out there. And that is what we need to focus on, is the fact that he was just so good. Thomas Otoye. I think Thomas Otoye has been getting a bad rep. I genuinely do. I think that, people have been going after him. People have been saying, oh, he's not that good against Volker low. The scrums today were tremendously one-sided, and he was a big part of that. 8 out of 9 tackles. He put his body around the work. I think he had a very good game. I'm happy to give Thomas Otoye an 8. I think from a prop, you couldn't have asked much more. 6.9. Are you guys cooked? I cannot understand this. What do you want him to do? I'm actually going to ask the questions, because there are people giving him a 6. What do you want him to do? We do not judge props on cross kicks, chicken wing passes, goose steps. What do we judge a prop on? What do you want your prop to do? Because I want my prop to win me scrums, make tackles, carry. 3 carries, 8 out of 9 tackles. We had a scrum on their 5-meter line. They put the ball in, their scrum, and it was at our 9's head within seconds. As Christian says, we pushed them off their own ball with only 7 of us in the scrum. That was impressive. So what do you want the poor man to do? You can't judge like Thomas Otoye about that. And I'm not saying that 7 is an all right score, but the problem is there are people that are giving him 6s here. And that's what I want to know. Why would you give him a 6 for that performance? Because I thought it was actually one of his best performances. From a scrum point of view, we were decimating them. And that is all I want from my prop. Etzebeth, right. 9 out of 10 tackles. Maybe not quite. It's difficult. The problem with the Etzebeth is that we continue to judge him by what I call the Etzebeth standard. And it's like the gold standard. In terms of, you've got one of the best players of all time. And if he doesn't drop an all-timer, then something you sit there going, ooh, is he kind of dropping off? So I'm going to give him a 7. I think he was all right. I don't think he was the Etzebeth of old. So I'm going to give him a 7, 6.3. I've gone a bit high. And Pan says, might be too late, but I want my props to make 40-meter line breaks. You make me laugh. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. That's made me chuckle a little bit. And as you can see, you straight into the coaches chat over there. It's Pan. If you'd like to have your hot take in Rusty's Coach's Corner, then please do consider sending a super chat. Shout out to you. Tutuishri Naidu says, was it just me or was the referee not so great today? Any thoughts, especially with those 2 high tackles? Geez, how do you just let that go on? Also, I didn't find him to be very consistent. Yeah, I think he's average, purely, to be honest. I don't think it was a disaster class. I don't think it was fantastic. I think, in fairness, those tackles when it goes to the TMO in the bunker, that's not really him. I just don't have much to say about him. I don't think I think he's average, as Christian said. I think average is about right. Right, we're not here. Maybe one of those quieter games, 5 carries, 4 passes, maybe not. His line work was all right. I'll probably give him a 7. I think he was solid, but not amazing. 7.2. You see, now I disagree that he had a better game than Thomas Otoye. I think that's maybe where my issue was. So Malabonga says that Thomas was great today. I thought so as well. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks so, but I thought he was really good. And yeah, I think it's a harsh rating on him. I think that it's 7.5, for example. I'm with you, but I don't think that Ruan Nokia was better than Thomas Otoye, for example. King Power says, even Etzebeth wasn't great, got hammered. Sick Lisi, I thought he was very good today. 12 meters run, 7 out of 7 tackles, some big tackles as well. I think One of the Malcolm Marks turnovers was on the back of a dominant tackle from Sia Khaleesi. And second half, I thought he'd really up the ante. So I'm almost an 8. An 8. No, let me just go at 7, because that's maybe a bit leave the 8 for other people. I think we're aligned on 7. I don't mind that. I don't mind that, because I thought that this man was very good. And I'm interested to see the stats there. 11 out of 13 tackles, 6 meters run. I think there's probably a bit more than that, in all honesty. But he had a very, very strong game, the PSDF to Toy. He's just everywhere, isn't he? So I'm going to give him an 8. I thought he was very, very good. 7.5, there we go. Love that, love that, love that. Byron says, these ratings from some fans are insane. It's like voting against players no matter how good they play. Oh, no, there's definitely that. There is definitely that. It's wild. Like, Marnie Liebach can score 4 tries and, like, drop a ball and he's getting, like, 3s. There's definitely a lot of agenda-based voting, but that's why we're going to get as many votes as possible involved in this, so that that we can remove out the trolls. And if you guys would like to, feel free to send me your ratings. By the way, email them to youtube@foreversportsmedia.com. You know, send me your ratings and I'll have a look at them. I might even critique some of them tomorrow. You never know. But get them involved, send them over, and let's do this. So, Jasper Visa, Cheapers, I thought he was brilliant today. Absolutely brilliant. I'm going to give him an 8. He's just so consistent. So consistent. 7.6, that's probably our highest rating we've had so far. 7.7, a couple of other guys getting involved. I've gone with 8. Fan rating 7.7. He was very good today. And I think that he is... he's become so important. I mean, everybody talks about Cameron Harnicorn, for example. Everybody talks about the fact that he's the next best thing. And I'm not saying he isn't. But this guy's going nowhere, eh? This guy is not going to suddenly just make way and say, oh, no, by all means, you know, pull in. Because he's playing at such a high level. Consistently at such a high level. That he's going to be a difficult person to get out of that team. So, really, really good to see him coming back and proving all of it. CS, I appreciate Jasper more after seeing how we struggle without him. I think that's a good point, in fairness. Kubis Reinach, well, I'll tell you what, 2 tries. You got to give him a 9, don't you? You got to give him a 9. 7.8. What did we give Malcolm Marks? 8.6. Yeah, no, that's fair. Kubis Reinach has a 7.8. Second best player so far. He is indeed coming second in the man of the match vote. So you guys are all pretty aligned in all of this, which is good to see. And Sasha, I thought Sasha had a good game. Not last week's game, but a good game. A good game. I'm happy to give him an 8. I thought he played well. I thought maybe a couple of times I think that's harsh. I think if a couple of times might have made the wrong decision, but I think if you look at his game as a whole, and I think the problem is that he kind of started really well and then kind of faded away a little bit. And I think that's maybe where the recency bias comes and you kind of forget that first half. But in the end, he made his tackles. He made a couple of really good breaks. He kicked well off the tee. So I was happy with the performance. I think 6.9 is a bit harsh. Ethan Hooker. I thought Ethan Hooker was quiet today, in all honesty. I thought, you know, I'll probably give him a 7. I don't know if I'm at anybody giving a distance. 6.4, yeah. One of the quieter games for Ethan Hooker. And it's not as... He's always going to have a game where you maybe take inverted commas a step back. But yeah, I'm not like I'm worried or anything like that. I thought in general he's taking his chance. This man, however, I thought was very, very good. And a lot of people have been talking about Damien Delende and saying that, you know, he's not the best option and the likes of that. And then he just puts in performances like this today. And it just reminds you of how good he is. And he is absolutely world class. He's absolutely world class as Damien Delende. I only give him an 8. He got over the advantage line. I mean, 6.9 is criminal. I'm sorry, it is criminal. He got over the advantage line. He cleaned up a lot. He found himself on the wing. He made all the right decisions. He was really, really good. Plutonian says, Steve, your ratings are a joke today. The spot performance was nowhere today. Ugh, dude. Take your negativity somewhere else. We didn't play that badly. We're not going to pump teams by 60 points every week, people. It was an individual error that even allowed them back from 29 points to 13, and then they scored in the 80th minute. That does not, remove the other 70-odd minutes of rugby where we played pretty well. So, yeah. I mean, CS says that Damon Delindi has been the best 12 in World Rugby since Nonu. Yeah, I think you're right. To be honest. I think that's a harsh rate. I thought he was very, very good. Damon Delindi. Kenny Moody. Now, this is somebody who I thought did have a poor game. And this was probably my first. I'm probably going to give him a 5. Yellow card. Couple of mistakes. Got hooked because he struggled. We're not going to panic about him. He's still young, for example. I think he's had a couple of really good games before this, but it wasn't his best game. And that is the shout. 5.6. You guys have actually got a bit more. So ironically, after I've been shouted that my ratios are too high, I've now got apparently lower than Caden Newdy. Jake says, I think the biggest issue is our 7 is good and your 7 is average, so we're off 1 point the entire time. Maybe to a certain degree. I just think that 6.9. Another point is I think I see the 6 and I'm just like it just irks me. I always say 6 is average, to be fair. I use 6 as average. I never use 5 as average, I use 6 as average. It's kind of why we've got this sort of bad 1 to 5, good 6 to 10. So if you're above average, you're at a 6. 7 means solid and good, and 8 means good game. But yeah, maybe I'm still in a good mood. I'm like Chesney. I'm in a giving mood. But Chesney, however, was not good. Donated a try. Missed 3 tackles. I'll probably give him a 5. And you guys are going with a 5 on the dot, so we're very aligned over there. Sierra Rickers Moose should have gotten a second yellow. Very lucky. Aldian says, Yannick Vessels was extremely poor. No player coming off the bench should ever concede 3 penalties. I mean, I tell you what, he came with heat with that scrum, and then, yes, he wasn't good. Pablo Castle says, stop stealing. You can't play against 16. So much envy with the Pumas. It hurts them that a small team breaks everyone's ass. They are pathetic. What are you on about? It hurts them that a small team breaks everyone's asses. They are pathetic. I'm confused as to who you're shouting at. Are you shouting at us or are you shouting at Pumas? I'm a bit confused about that comment, must admit. Damien Willems said, I think it was good. He had such a nice break. Goodness me. Damien Willems, I thought was pretty good today. I'll give him a 7. I thought he played well. 6.7. I think maybe it's a bit harsh again, but I don't know. Jock says, but Jesse also didn't play well. I think it was the 13 channel defense by RGs. I'll disagree with that. I thought Jesse played very well coming off the bench. He made so many important tackles. Maybe he didn't manage to get a lot with the ball at hand, but Bongi came off the bench, didn't have much to do. I'm going to give him an average 6, 5.5. See, the problem is, like, I mean, I said, it's difficult to give a 5 because 5 is close to 0. And I'm an optimist at heart. I don't think Ananja Vessels was good, so I'll give him a 5, 6.2. Yeah, we're around there. Volko Low, I thought was very good. I'll give him a 7. It could have been better, but yeah, so maybe the first one got a bit excited. Actually, no, fuck that. I'm in a good mood. Those guys won me a rugby championship. Canula says, Pablo Guy needs to get some sleep and to grow up. Undeveloped prefrontal cortex does that, yeah. Anya, one of my members, says, I would love to see Ethan Hooker play center for the Boks. Master of Beta says, these fan ratings are diabolical. Damn. Well, get involved. And as I said, show me your ratings. Because, I mean, you got people like Plutonium Nitrate who's going in. So send me your ratings. How hectically were you going in on them? How hectically are you how bad are you rating them? I thought Archie was good off the bench. 6.9. And I thought Kwaka was brilliant off the bench. Very good turnovers, adds energy to the game. There we go. I thought he was brilliant. He's so good off the bench, isn't he? Yeah, what a performance on him he's just the absolute goat off the bench. Grant Williams had 12 minutes. So average 6. Marley Block also an average 6. Happy days. I thought Jesse played well. I'm giving him a 7. I thought he made his tackles. He made some very good defensive reads. I mean, they were flooding the center channel. They very much decided to keep going there, but I thought that a lot of the time he had shot up, he had made a good tackle, he made a covering tackle, he made some very good decisions, which assisted us on quite a few occasions. So in that regard, I thought he was very good. Mike said, I think we made a bad decision to kick at all at a windy venue. Well, the problem is usually when the wind's behind you, you kick to them, and they say that having the wind behind you is basically like a 16-man. That's how much of a difference it can make. Petrus Udendal says, for all the idiots out there, Argentina beat Australia and New Zealand, and we beat them in both games. So WTF, Argentina beat New Zealand by 6 points and Australia by 4 points. So take your negative response and stick. Well, there we go. Listen to Petrus. He's had enough. The man's had enough. He's been drinking brandies in the day. He enjoyed his block game. He came here to enjoy a nice player rating show, and he's seen everybody just lambasting him, and he's had enough. And I agree. Maybe I need to get into some of the brandies. As I said, I think it gets disrespectful to talk about the fact that we should be burying. And I mean, you know what the funny thing is? This is what really makes me chuckle. I said Argentina are a good side. We beat them twice, and I said we should be beating them 2 times with a bonus point. And then I was told I was arrogant and I was underestimating Argentina, and that I wasn't giving them the respect they deserved. And I said, it's nothing against them. I said, but the reality is they've won 50% of their games coming in here, and I think they're a beatable side. But I was told I was arrogant, and I wasn't respecting them enough. Now we go and we beat them, and now it's like, well, we didn't hammer them, we didn't thrash them. This is not good enough, etc., etc. So it's always interesting to see how the attitude changes all the time, and. At the end of the day, I thought that Argentina are a good side. I think we didn't play at our best, but we got a good result. And that's, for me, the most important thing. Let's wrap up these ratings, shall we? And then we can continue to chat. Okay, we have to chat about it. So, the only thing we need to do now is go and give our man of the match. And 65% of the votes for Malcolm Marx. So, he's going to get that man of the match. We're going to make him, select him as our man of the match. There we go. He gets a little MOTM. And we're now going to go to share. And what this does now is it generates a team, which I will put on the screen in a second. So it's got our ratings. It's got Malcolm with a nice little gold rating over there. And now I'm just going to generate the image and I'll put it on the screen, and then we can really get involved in exactly what is cooking here. So, yeah, as I said, I don't think it's early to really sort of get stuck into it. But welcome to John Doe, who's our latest member, and Super Chihuahua, who says, thank you, everyone, for being great company. And as a member for the month, big shout out to you guys for becoming a member and for joining the members club and the likes of that. We got quite a few members today, which was good to see. We kind of give ourselves a bit of time. We're basically on a train to get a member per day by the end of the year, because that gets us to 300 members, and we've given ourselves a good week worth of member ratings. So that is the important part here. Rob says we need to bring back Jean de Villiers and play him. Hey man, I'll tell you what we don't need to do is leave him, is continue having him on as a pundit. Oh, goodness. Good old John. Good old John. I'm busy watching the Durban highlights here. What a game that was. Fun times. Fun times. So I'm just going to put the our player ratings that we've now generated on the screen. And they look a little bit like, and it's the Fury Sports community rating, I suppose. You know, maybe it should be the DVP ones, but you guys also do vote for the man of the match, so you guys deserve a little bit of recognition there. Those are our ratings. So as you can see, once you go and do all the ratings, it generates the image over there. It's got your rating in the top right corner. It's got the fans rating underneath it. It shows you the man of the matches. It's got the score as well. And you can send it to all your mates. So I hope you guys are doing that. I hope you're going and showing all your mates and sending it off to them and the likes of that. John Doe says, our overall performance for the tournament was probably around a 7.8. Yeah, that's an interesting one. What do we rate the URC? Let's actually run a poll for that. How do you rate the Boks TRC campaign? Let's do a 7 or 6, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm gonna do out of 10. And I think a 7, 8-ish is fair. Is fair. At the end of the day, we won it. We lost 2 games out of 6. So 4 out of 6 wins. I mean, it's pretty good. 2 breakout performances. I think the big blip was that Australia performance, isn't it? At the end of the day, I think if we hadn't had that Australia game, we'd just be so chuffed with life right now as a Bok fan. We'd be looking at going, oh, you know what? We didn't pitch up at Eden Park. Such a difficult place to win, but we're competitive. And apart from that, we've been flawless. That loss to Australia is, I think, a big red flag on our season. Ejovu says the French game will be very interesting. I'm tad nervous. I'm frothing at the mouth for that game. Super Chihuahua says 8 out of 10. Refined our strategy, brought in new players, broke a few records. I like that, actually. John Doe says Argentina is a very good side. I do like the way we applied pressure consistently. There we go. And it says, a pleasure to be best commentary on YouTube alongside HH. Says, love the effort you put in. Well, thank you for joining us. Shout out to you guys and for becoming a member. Malabongwe says, my worry is inability to adapt to a game plan that's not working. Happened at Eden Park. We kept kicking even when we were not getting good results. Same today. We need to be smart and adapt better. Yeah, look, the problem is also sometimes the conditions almost dictate that. So, and I get what you're saying. You know, you need to be able to be quite adaptable and the likes of that. And that is obviously a big work on, is being able to switch between the way we play. And a lot of that comes down to 9 and 10. And having the presence of mind to say, listen, this is not quite working. Why don't we try this? And I think today what we needed to do is, and it came too late from the coaching staff. We went to the bombs and the coaching staff eventually. But I think we should have been doing that more. And I think we should have gone to the boot a bit earlier to try and create those knock-ons. But contestables, I think that was also the problem. Maybe my Sasha rating was probably too high. Probably should have given him a 6 or 7. Because I think a couple of times he kicked up and unders, which was the right call, but kicked them too deep. And I think we needed to really kick more contestables, force those knock-ons. We had a scrum going forward, play to that. Because when you get that scrum, then all of a sudden you've got that attacking set piece, and we've got a backline that can get creative. So, yeah, I think that we really do thought about... we really do regret that Australia game, because if we had won Australia, we would have done 80% of our games in the Rugby Championship, and we'd be sitting with an 89% win rate so far this year. As it stands, we're sitting at 7 divided by 9. We're sitting at about 78% win rate this year. If we had won that one game against Australia, we would have been at an 89% win rate, and we'd be chuffed as Larry. So now we're going to go and get 5 out of 5 at the end of the year. 5 out of 5, people. That is the shout. For me, 12 out of 15 is a good year. From where we are now. I would have liked 13 out of 15 because we should have beaten Australia twice. But from where we are now, I think 12 out of 15 is a good year. I think if you beat France or Ireland and you lose one of them, I'm relatively happy, to be honest. I think if we go 5 out of 5, then give us the World Cup type of vibes. Because I think that would be huge. And if you can put those performances in like you did against New Zealand, against Ireland and France again, then... you know, as I said, then you start to get really, really excited. But it's a big ask. It really is a big ask to go and beat both those in Ireland and in France. They're great sides, and it's going to be a tough task at the end of the year. Jason James says Argentina destroy us on the high balls. Master of Beta says Argentina is definitely a very fast rising team that might even have a shot at the Rugby World Cup in 2027 if they improve even more. Christian says, yeah, well, if we go 5 out of 5 in November, then it's a solid season. I think 12 out of 15 is still a reasonable season. especially given the fact that we have rotated. You know, it's not like the All Blacks who have played the same team week in, week out, week in, week out, week in, week out, and still not gotten the results. Which I think is why there's more pressure on Scott Robertson, for example, because he has not really brought in a new team, inverted commas, and the likes of that. So yeah, it's interesting to see what all the chat's going to be. But in general, pretty chuffed with how life is at the moment. And we're going to wrap up there, people. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. We got up to 97,079 subscribers. So we got less than 3,000 to get to that 100,000. So if you are not subscribed, please do subscribe. We will obviously be doing a lot of URC coverage in the next few weeks as we turn our attention to that. In fact, I'm actually going to be appearing on the URC podcast next week. So if you haven't checked it out, it's called Send It, and I'm part of that project, which is going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you go and check it then. And let's see what the URC has in hold for us. Hopefully the Lions get a win tomorrow. Shout out. Hopefully the Bulls get a win later if you're a big Bulls fan. And we'll see you guys all throughout the week, and we'll do a bit of a check-in tomorrow morning, shall we? But yeah, keep well, keep safe, subscribe to the channel. See you.